or 185 pounds. Eric Gardner weighed over 300 pounds. Eric Gardner was moving around so much that even if you had your hands around him, from moving around so much, it's very possible that his arms got around the guy's throat. It didn't start out as a chokehold. And again, I'm not passing judgment. Okay? A man died. It was a terrible tragedy. Okay? But, and I don't want to sound callous. Okay? But the Gardner family just settled for $5.87 million. Okay? What never ceases to amaze me is in an incident where a life is taken, the family claims no matter how much money we get, it's not going to make up for the loss of our loved one. Okay? $5.8 million. Now, granted, lawyer gets money gets divvied up, and it's also very interesting that at first the family didn't want to have anything to do with Al Sharpton, but when they held the press conference, who was ushering the family up to the stage to make a speech and accept their check? Al Sharpton. Okay? So, I mean, the money is...
We know Al Sharpton's a sleazeball, so there's no a progressive sleazeball.
Yep.
But also in the same case, they said if they didn't want to take it to court, and if they took it to court, they thought they would have gotten a lot more.
Well, but it also would have cost them. They might have gotten more. They might have gotten more. Okay, it's always a chance you take when you're going to court and you have a jury decide. But the jury could also decide on giving you less. All right? Now, does the family want to relive the whole thing? Not only in the courtroom, but in the media, because that's what happens.
No, I understand that. All I'm saying, they settle for probably...
and forget about, the Eric Gardner case. All right? I'll go one step further. Joan Rivers' death was truly a tragedy. She went in for minor surgery. Okay? The doctor noticed an abnormality and he started to perform a procedure that the family didn't agree to because he just thought that he was, sort of nipping something in the bud. And then she suffered from hypoxia. All right, she went without oxygen. You know who went without oxygen?
You!
Felix, that's right. For the same amount of time as her. Okay? But I didn't have a leg to stand on because nobody would take my case. Okay? She's Joan Rivers. Melissa has plenty of money to hire the best attorneys. Now, I understand her loss. And I understand that she's going to get megabucks. But I would have more respect for her if she took that money and donated it to a charity in her mother's name, because she doesn't need the money.
We don't know what she's going to do.
I don't know. I'm only, this is like I'm editorializing here, ladies and gentlemen. This is an editor. What?
You're saying, but you're doing it before the fact. I can say, well, I would think a lot more of her if she would have given the money to. She didn't do anything with the money, and she didn't get it.
Well, she didn't get it yet,
so she couldn't have done anything.
But
what you want to say is you hope that when she settles, that she puts a lot of money into a.
You know what the anesthesiologist said to my lawyer when he was deposed? Shit happens. What happened to me, what happened to her, Joan Rivers, they don't even write up in medical journals. They said it's so rare that it happens, But this is a doctor talking to an attorney. Shit happens. No remorse.
Well, luckily you were okay.
You're right.
I know you had a few setbacks from this, but you're still here.
And I thank my lucky
And
stars every time I go to my neurologist.
And you still talk on the radio. Now,
all right, talk on the radio.
Let's. Celino Barnes wouldn't represent you?
I didn't go to them, unfortunately. Maybe I should have. Ladies and gentlemen.
You got to go to Shykesters for these things.
Yeah, well, you're right about that.
My son hit somebody who walked in front of him in his car. Police said it wasn't his fault. Witness says it wasn't his fault. The guy got $95,000. Even though I will say he did break his elbow.
Pain and suffering. Well, the attorneys get a third, so, but I'm sure that kid can do very well with the $60,000
No, it
was
an old man crossing Long Beach Road, which is a 6-lane road. He made it 5 lanes before he got hit. He was wearing slippers, slippers like the house slippers, and carrying his laundry.
Well, the family wanted to make sure that they had a legacy that was left to them, What can I tell you? But anyway.
So, and he had Celino Barnes.
Oh, well, okay. Like I said, I probably went to the wrong attorney. Anyway.
Not that we want to give free advertisements to Celino Barnes.
Yeah, I know. They're not splitting any fees with you. The debate analysis. A British Daily came out with some information about each of the candidates that I would like to share with you. Okay, this is the Republican debate of 2016, the first one. Who are the winners and losers? The setting for the first Republican debate was almost like a TV game show, they said. But the contestants, the candidates, I'm reading right from the copy, didn't win a prize after just one round. They will have to endure many more months ahead, and for now it's mainly a game of survival. Out of the 10, they broke it down. Donald Trump. Now, there was speculation that the Donald was going to tone down his rhetoric during the debate to appear more dignified and presidential. Well, so much for that idea. His best moment, they said, was when he discussed immigration. He boasted that he single-handedly made it an issue for the race, which is largely true. Then he bashed the reporters and the stupid politicians for not doing anything about it. The biggest flop, according to this article, Trump was asked to defend his past support for single-payer health care insurance programs, similar to the United Kingdom. And he began his remarks by saying, "It works incredibly well in places like Canada and Scotland," and he went downhill from there. The final verdict, as seen by this article on Donald Trump, he dominated the stage, but for once he had to answer direct questions, and he didn't seem to do an adequate job. Now again, I am reading right from the copy. None of this is being editorialized. On Jeb Bush, Bush was put on the defensive early and often by the Fox debate moderators. His strategy likely was to try to stay above the fray, but sometimes he seemed to be floating so high that he was bumping against the rafters of the arena. Feel free to join in any time.
Well, you're reading it. What do you want me to do?
Well, when I stop, you could make comments if you want.
Oh, I'm trying to find some more statistics here. I'm reading.
The best comment that was made by Bush, it says, was he was asked about whether he considered Trump a clown, right after Trump gave some meandering response to the abortion.
I want an investment plan focused on my needs.
Sorry about that.
he gave some meandering response to an abortion question. Instead of going on the attack, he gave a sharp synopsis of his Florida economic record, and he said he wanted to offer hopeful, optimistic messages. His biggest flop, as expected, Bush was asked about the wisdom of the Iraq War. He eventually turned it into a critique of Barack Obama's foreign policy, but it took him much too long to get there. I will have to say that in defense of the president...
Which president?
Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Obama withdrew the troops in December of 2013 or 2014. That was agreed to by the Bush administration.
That's correct.
Obama had no control over that.
Of course he did. He could change. He's the president. What do you mean? Just because they made... I mean, I don't agree with you.
They wanted him out of Iraq and the Afghans wanted him out of Afghanistan. The Iraqis wanted him out of Iraq. When I say him, I mean the Americans. They'd had enough. Okay? So why stay where you're not wanted? And I have to remind you that 2 years ago in Afghanistan, when our sons, both our sons' very good friend, was a captain training Afghan militia to become policemen, that was when the Afghan police were killing American soldiers.
Absolutely correct.
It ran rampant. So they didn't want us there. Okay? What happened afterwards, look, we all know that the whole thing was a fiasco from the beginning. Okay? And I'm not saying that Obama was not without some of his faults. All right? I mean, yes, I am a Democrat, but I will admit to that much. You know, but you can't blame it. Bush and the Republican Party can't blame everything on Obama because Obama wasn't president during the heat of battle in the war from 2003.
Well, I think, again, as I mentioned before, the problem was with Bush and Cheney. That's
right.
Of this.
You're 100% right. We actually agree on something.
This, they came up with this. And as, what's his name would say from the Daily Show, bullshit.
The verdict on Jeb Bush, according to this article, is he didn't stumble, but his performance isn't going to win him over any conservative critics. That much is true. He tried to talk about his conservative bona fides, and while he is a conservative, I don't really think he won over too many people. So he didn't lose any points, but he didn't win any. All right, next is Scott Walker.
I don't think he did well at all. I was not impressed by him at all. He was supposed to be a rising star.
Well, I agree with you. Scott Walker was supposed to have done much better, but again, like Bush, he didn't gain any points, he didn't lose any points. In fact, the first comment here that's being made by the article is, was Scott Walker even at the debate? At times, the mild-mannered Wisconsinite, who made his bones as a union-slaying governor, seemed to be missing in action. He had the second least amount of airtime during the debate, slightly ahead of Rand Paul. As I said, Rand Paul ran about 4 to 4.5 minutes.
Actually, I thought it was Ted Cruz that had the least amount of time.
No, Ted Cruz wound up with just about 6 minutes. Okay, but Rand Paul wound up with about 4 minutes and 30 some odd seconds, and Scott Walker was just about over 5 minutes. Now, they did say the best moment for Scott Walker, he fielded several questions about foreign policy, a perceived area of weakness of his. Even he got off a zinger saying that the Russian and the Chinese probably know more about Hillary Clinton's emails than the U.S. Congress.
Yeah, well, the Russians just got into our computers again, didn't they?
That's why he said it.